Today, SpaceX did something extraordinary.
We have liftoff.
Welcome to News English Explained. In today's lesson, we are talking about an extraordinary achievement by SpaceX. Each lesson follows a structured format. First, we'll watch the story with subtitles, then explain the story and the key vocabulary and phrases. Next, we'll test your understanding with a short quiz, and finally, we'll watch the story again without subtitles. Let's get started.
Today, SpaceX did something extraordinary.
We have liftoff.
It successfully launched the world's largest and most powerful rocket, but it's what happened next that many are calling an engineering milestone. CBS's Elise Preston explains.
We have liftoff.
SpaceX is celebrating a spectacular feat, the launch of Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, and the catch and return of its first stage booster to the launch pad. Just 7 minutes after liftoff in Boca Chica, Texas, the 232-foot steel rocket flew back where giant metal arms called chopsticks grabbed it. Cheers erupted for this uncrewed fifth test flight. Watching from just across the border in Mexico, David Guajardo of the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences.
It is indescribable. Visually, is the most attractive thing that you can see. It's magic.
Starship traveled halfway around the world before splashing down in the Indian Ocean, bringing SpaceX closer to developing a fully reusable rapid rocket.
Why was this launch so important?
And we will have access to space as never before with this technology that was tested today.
Access that SpaceX hopes will someday help send astronauts to Mars. Elise Preston, CBS News.
The news anchor begins the story by announcing the successful liftoff of the Starship, the world's largest and most powerful rocket. Let's first break down some important vocabulary here. The word liftoff refers to the moment when a rocket or a spacecraft leaves the ground and begins its flight into space. In everyday language, liftoff can be used metaphorically to describe the successful beginning of something, like a project or a career. For example, the startup's new app finally had liftoff after months of development. So, when you hear "we have liftoff," it signals that something important and successful has started. The anchor continues by saying that SpaceX successfully launched the world's largest and most powerful rocket. This is an impressive feat, as rockets are incredibly complex machines that require precise engineering to work. The word "successfully" is used here to show that the launch went according to plan, which is crucial because space launches often carry high risks. The world's largest and most powerful rocket emphasizes the significance of Starship, highlighting how it surpasses all other rockets built so far. Next, the news anchor mentions, but it's what happened next that many are calling an engineering milestone. The word milestone refers to a significant event or achievement, especially one that marks an important stage in development. In the context of technology and engineering, milestones are breakthroughs that push the boundaries of what's possible. For instance, we could say, the invention of the smartphone was a major milestone in the tech industry. In this case, SpaceX's achievement of catching the first stage booster is being recognized as a major leap forward in rocket technology. Getting back to the story, the news anchor then introduces CBS reporter Elise Preston, who explains more about SpaceX's achievement. She says, SpaceX is celebrating a spectacular feat. The word spectacular means something that is very impressive or dramatic. A feat is a notable achievement, especially one requiring skill or strength. Together, spectacular feat means something extraordinary that required great effort or expertise. For example, Winning the Olympic gold medal was a spectacular feat for the young athlete. Elise Preston goes on to describe the event. The launch of Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, and the catch and return of its first stage booster to the launch pad. The first stage booster is the part of the rocket that provides the initial thrust to launch the spacecraft into the air. In the past, these boosters were often discarded after launch. However, SpaceX is working to develop reusable rockets, which could dramatically reduce the cost of space travel. In this case, the booster returned to the launch pad after liftoff, which is an incredible technological accomplishment. The next part of the story is when Preston says, just 7 minutes after liftoff in Boca Chica, Texas, the 232-foot steel rocket flew back where giant metal arms called chopsticks grabbed it. This paints a vivid picture of how the rocket booster was caught midair by a pair of enormous robotic arms, humorously nicknamed chopsticks because they resemble the utensils used for eating. The fact that this happened only 7 minutes after liftoff shows how quickly and precisely this event was executed. A witness named David Guajardo, who was watching the event, described it as undescribable, which means he found the experience so amazing that he couldn't put it into words. While undescribable is not a very common word in English, its meaning is clear from the context. We often use words like unbelievable or incredible when something feels too amazing to describe. Getting back to the story, Preston explains that Starship traveled halfway around the world before splashing down in the Indian Ocean, bringing SpaceX closer to developing a fully reusable rapid rocket. Halfway around the world is an expression meaning a great distance. For example, if your friend travels to a faraway country, you could say, she's halfway around the world. The phrase splashing down refers to a water landing, which is common for spacecraft that return from space. Fully reusable means that all parts of the rocket can be used again, which is a huge step forward in making space travel more affordable and accessible. So, what's the big takeaway here? David says, we will have access to space as never before. With this technology that was tested today, the word access refers to the ability to enter or use something. For example, everyone should have access to clean water. The phrase access to space as never before suggests that this new rocket technology could open up new possibilities for space exploration, such as traveling to Mars or building space colonies. The term technology that was tested today refers to the reusable rocket system, which could be a game changer for space exploration. This brings us to the end of the news segment, where Preston concludes, access that SpaceX hopes will someday help send astronauts to Mars. SpaceX's long-term goal is to make interplanetary travel a reality, and this launch brings them one step closer to achieving that goal. The phrase, someday help send astronauts to Mars, reflects SpaceX's ambition and the vision of space exploration beyond the Earth. Now that we've broken down the key points and vocabulary, we're going to do a short quiz with 3 questions based on the story. It'll be great because the best way to learn something is to use it. In this section, we're going to ask you 3 short answer questions based on the news story. Remember to pause the video and try to answer each question in 2 to 3 sentences using the vocabulary and phrases we just learned. Ready? Let's go.
1.
Why is the reusable rocket technology considered a milestone?
Pause the video now.
Answer. The reusable rocket technology is considered a milestone because it allows rockets to be used multiple times, significantly reducing the cost of space travel and making access to space more affordable.
2.
What did the witness, David Guajardo mean when he called the event undescribable?
Pause the video now.
Answer: David Guajardo meant that the event was so amazing and impressive that he couldn't find words to describe it, which shows just how incredible the launch and recovery of the booster was.
3.
What is SpaceX's long-term goal with Starship technology? Pause the video now. Answer: SpaceX's long-term goal with Starship technology is to send astronauts to Mars, which would be a groundbreaking achievement in space exploration. Great job! Now let's watch the news again, but this time without subtitles.
Today, SpaceX did something extraordinary.
We have liftoff.
It successfully launched the world's largest and most powerful rocket, but it's what happened next that many are calling an engineering milestone. CBS's Elise Preston explains.
We have liftoff.
SpaceX is celebrating a spectacular feat, the launch of Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, and the catch and return of its first stage booster to the launch pad. Just 7 minutes after liftoff in Boca Chica, Texas, the 232-foot steel rocket flew back where giant metal arms called chopsticks grabbed it. Cheers erupted for this uncrewed fifth test flight. Watching from just across the border in Mexico, David Guajardo of the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences.
It is undescribable. Visually, is the most attractive thing that you can see. It's magic.
Starship traveled halfway around the world before splashing down in the Indian Ocean, bringing SpaceX closer to developing a fully reusable rapid rocket.
Why was this launch so important?
And we will have access to space as never before with this technology that was tested today.
Access that SpaceX hopes will someday help send astronauts to Mars. Elise Preston, CBS News.
That brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thanks so much for listening and learning with us today. Don't forget to practice using one of the new vocabulary words, like milestone, in your conversations. For example, this lesson was a milestone in my English learning journey. Have a great day and see you next time.